Grab him?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I changed. Well, I mean, I can't wear the fancy
Don't give me that one. Don't give me that with your U.S. Open. I got to go out here real quick. Oh, you're working? Hey, folks, we're going to start out with Michael Hall on the middle 20.
How you guys doing today?
How are you?
Good.
What do you, obviously, how he is a terrific quarterback.
You said who?
What's the biggest challenge? And what do you have to most be disciplined about?
Just really him getting out of the pocket and, just creating throwing lanes for him and just opening the gaps. Really just got to focus on that.
Is he different than anyone you face?
Nah, we faced similar quarterbacks, so we just got to take care of business and handle it.
I think you have 7 pressures this year.
Yes, sir.
Do you feel like you guys are getting your quarterback the way that you'd like to? And are you starting to realize that maybe sacks aren't everything?
We really don't focus on stats. We really just focus on caging the pocket and just building a lot of pressure, making it uncomfortable for the quarterback. I feel like we're doing a great job at that and caging the pocket, like Coach Jay says every day, and we've been doing pretty good. The stats don't show it, but if you turn on the tape, it definitely shows.
Speaking of getting attention, you've been getting a lot of attention, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
What do you think about that?
Nah, it's all good.
Talking about teams, I mean, here comes Mike Hall.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah, no doubt.
Some bump in, you know what
Oh
I mean?
yeah, no doubt. It's nothing I can't handle. It's all.
Your man Talik over there had a pretty good game.
All right.
Stat-wise.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Hard to live with because of that.
I would say he really set the tone. If you go back in that first game, he started the game off with a TFL. So I say he set the whole tone for that game, and it was really good just seeing him shine in that game and just improving.
Mike, you guys look at each other, in y'all's room and stuff. What do y'all, like you were just talking about the pressures and stuff, for sacks, what do they mean, like kind of thing? Where do you guys feel like you really need to step up these next 8 games?
I would say just getting getting off the ball a little bit faster and just start the pursuit. Really just chasing the quarterback, going sideline to sideline, just being dogs.
When you watch Tucker Below, Lee, the guy y'all were chasing this week.
Yep.
What stands out about him? What makes him unique, special among the quarterbacks y'all face so far?
Yeah, I don't even want to give out any.
But I mean, is he special?
Yeah, he's definitely he's all right, but we just got to get to him and get home and just make him feel uncomfortable. That's it.
Like when Jim uses the term coordinated pressure,
Yep.
what does that mean to you guys?
Can't even talk about that.
Can't
Yeah,
talk about
just
it?
yep.
Well, so you can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, what's the not speaking specifically about Tagovailoa, but just the challenge of containing a quarterback who can extend plays?
It's all good. You know, you just got to close the pocket on them, and you really just can't open the throw lanes for them and just have wide gaps because if you're just rushing upfield all day, you're never going to get to him. He's just going to be running around all day, and I'm pretty sure he's a fast quarterback and he can handle that. He's not going to get really tired. So we just got to have great pursuit angles and just get into the quarterback and making him feel uncomfortable the whole game.
You guys as a defense getting that last stop when y'all needed it at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise there's no winning drive.
Right.
What did that just do for the group?
I would say that whole game, like really that whole week in practice, it was just emphasized and really just dominating and turning it up. Like that was Coach Day saying, just ratcheting it up. And I feel like it started on Tuesday's practice, and we just started to turn up every day and kept improving. And then when it came game time, I feel like we were already ready. It was nothing to stress about.
So what's the buzzword this week? Ratcheting it up?
Oh, we ratcheting it up even more. Just keep upgrading. Just keep upgrading.
Thanks, man.
Yes, sir.
Chance to reflect on over the last week, where did you kind of want to focus your game and kind of take some steps over the week? And where do you feel the D-line group took some steps?
I would say me and everybody else just went back to our fundamentals and just getting back to the basics, you know what I'm saying? Just hand placement and stuff like that and just getting off the ball. I feel like that's very important in the bye week, you know, just getting back to your old basics and fundamentals because sometimes you can get you can lose sight of that, you know, when you get later in the season and it's the little stuff. You said what?
Does it feel like you have a
Yeah, I definitely have my legs under me. I felt fresh today at practice. Yes, sir.
All right, Michael, thank you very much.
Appreciate you. Y'all have a blessed day.
Lathan Ransom down on the middle 20.
Hey, Lathan, could be the last hot day. What do you think?
You said could be the what?
Could be the last hot day. What do you think?
Man, I definitely prefer playing in the heat than the cold, but over the years I definitely got used to it.
Hey, guys, coming out of that game with Notre Dame, I was just talking to Mike Hall about it. Y'all getting that stop when you needed it, get the ball back for the winning drive. What's that just done for you guys as a defense, as a group, elevation standpoint?
I mean, it definitely feels good. Coach Day stressed since we came back way back in the winter, just about the situations. That's all we've been studying is but winning the situations. I think him making us study that and just knowing what to expect on those situations and how important it is to win each one has definitely been something we focus on. And to do that, it definitely feels good.
What is the prime challenge this week when these guys come in? They like to let it all hang out, so to speak, right? I mean, offensively and stuff. Golly, Low is experienced.
Yeah.
Folks, we got Denzel Burke at the South 20.
What's the primary challenge this week?
Like you said, the quarterback's really good. They'll do a good job moving the ball around, getting out fast, giving the defense different looks. So I think that's why we've been focused on just making sure we all doing our jobs, being on the same page, communication, and just making sure we're doing the little things right when it comes to games like this.
The discipline, the biggest thing this week is, I think Jim Knowles used the word coordinated pass rush. That you have to be 11 and 1 because he can make you look silly if somebody's out of place.
Yeah, most definitely. I think with different weeks, discipline's always the main thing, but it always comes in different ways and depending on the team you play. And like you said, yeah, he does a great job of scrambling, extending plays. So it's definitely been something we've been focused on trying to limit that.
Lathan, can you take me through that fourth down stop that you and Sonny had against Notre Dame? What did you see on that play? How did that come together?
It's just appreciate the coach knows, Coach Eliano, basically giving us the look before he got it. We literally in the walkthrough the morning before talking about, well, if this happens, then this will happen. And luckily, that's the look we got, and we just executed what we were coached.
Is that type of play and those sort of very physical moments, are they more possible now because you guys are in the second year of this system?
I mean, yeah, I think like I've talked about earlier, just being in the system for the second year, we're able to just fly around, more confident what we do, all on the same page, all communicating at a very high level. And when you're all communicating, flying around at a high level, the plays just they come to us.
What is it like? Put me in your head. Is that play the most? Does it feel like deja vu to you because you've seen it in practice or you've been warned about it in practice? What just goes through your head in a half second there?
I mean,
reacting to something like that, because Coach Knowles is always talking about you being able to see the forest despite the trees. You know what I mean?
it's funny, like Coach Day just said, when you're able to watch film and you're able to see these looks, and you see them multiple times, it just makes you play faster. It makes you basically when you're preparing going into the game, you don't do as much thinking when you've already seen it so many times. So you're just reacting and are anticipating before reacting. So when you're able to do that, it just makes you play faster and looks like you already knew it was coming.
Like, how quickly did you recognize that play?
I mean, we knew the look when they were going to sneak, like it was going to be a QB sneak, and that if Tommy and Steele jumped over and stopped it, like right on the A gap, it was going to fall to the C gap. So we already knew that was happening. So we just knew it was coming.
Nathan, on a scale of 0 to 10, how physical was that Notre Dame game?
Oh, very physical. Very physical. I mean, hats off Notre Dame, one of the best atmospheres I've played in. Did a great job with the noise, the lights. It was super physical. So, but like we say, competing against the offense since camp and since the spring, man, it's been physical here, and that's one thing we've been priding ourselves on is being physical. So a game like that, I mean that game's in the past now. Now we're focusing on Maryland. So, but yeah, it was definitely physical.
Did you feel any physical toll in how hard hitting it was, and you had 13 tackles in it? I mean, did the off week come at a good time for you? Did you need some time to get right again after that, or not?
I mean, yeah, most definitely. It was an extremely physical game. I mean, I don't think I've been in one game to where I felt great after the game, but no, I definitely it was nice to have that bye week and gave us a more chance to start focus on Maryland and then focus on where we need to get better on ourselves. So I think that came at a perfect time to critique our mistakes and our flaws.
Ethan, Coach Knowles said that Tommy Eichenberg is like the quarterback of the defense, and they're using more of his mind this year than his aggressiveness.
Yep.
Do you see that, and what kind of quarterback is he for this defense?
Yeah, Tommy's one of the dudes that lives in the facility. Super smart. I mean, he's our leader. The whole defense follows and listens to what Tommy has to say, listen to his checks, and man, we believe in what he does. So yeah, it's nice to have a quarterback back there, giving us calls, giving us checks, and helping us know what to expect.
Has that changed at all from last year to this year? Is it even more intense?
Yeah, it's definitely changed. I mean, you saw how successful Tommy was last year, so they gave him a bigger role, and I mean he's been killing it. He's been killing it. So it's definitely exciting to see how he's succeeding in that position.
Last question. All of a sudden he just pops up and makes a couple of plays there. In the end, I mean he's playing hard all night. How would you describe him to somebody about what he brings to the table from the standpoint of maybe being a little special? It's tough to be that player every play, right? But describe him to me.
JT's just a playmaker. He's a playmaker in the close games when we need to play. Don't be surprised when he makes that play or he comes up with a big stop or a big PBU. He's just a playmaker and has a knack to get around the ball.
Yeah, why is that? I mean, you talked to him about that.
I mean, I feel like that's something to ask JT, man.
Yeah. By the way, real quick, before the Indiana game, I asked you, how are you going to know whether y'all stop those big plays or not? You know, and you said, well, if we don't give up any.
Yep.
You don't remember that or not, but so far y'all give up no plays over 40 yards, no big touchdowns. Your longest touchdown play is 2 yards. Are y'all, knock on wood, getting the job done? I mean, how would you describe it?
I mean, like Kobe said, job not finished. Like we got a long season left. So, I mean, what we did in the first four games, yeah, it's really good. But I mean, like y'all seen, we was last year one of the best defenses for a lot of games. That don't matter unless we do it the whole season. So that's our mindset.
All right, Lathan, thank you so much.
Appreciate that.
I just want to introduce myself. I'm the sideline reporter.
Oh, okay.
How are you?
Doing good. How you
Good.
doing?
I'm just here a day early. Yeah. Good. Celebration. I tried to be us. Yeah. I was just gonna ask you, sorry, didn't mean to bring it up.
No, exactly. So knowing that every time I step on the field, he said like he's using that motivation of remembering. Yeah, I am on a good note. I mean, a lot of dudes came back safe, came back, Tommy came back. I mean, we felt that we had something special this year. Be a part of that. He did like 7 months.
You guys have moved on, but like just to have kind of a signature at this time of the year?
If you were having a big win or having a big class, that's what they say because especially when like that, like historic win that you probably talked about for a long time, it doesn't matter if you do something. So really when it comes to the season, like hoping that the success to carry us and have a really successful season, that it will make that much really fun.
How aggressive you been?
Funny, I told people, so Denzel's from Arizona, so that's
Yeah.
my brother.
Both of you guys.
That's my brother.
Did you guys grow up playing?
No, he grew up in I grew up in Tucson, but I knew him from here, but we got real close once we got here. That's my brother. I was tell people last year, like last year. But this year, I think we're going into this year.
Kate, I'm just going to get this out of the way, knowing that you won't really answer it. You look pretty banged up at the end of Notre Dame game. I assume you're fine.
Yes, I'm fine.
Was there anything? Did you need any time off last week at all? Or?
No time off. Feel great.
Perfect.
Thank you.
You're on pace to have one of the most productive seasons of tight ends ever had in Ohio State. Do you expect that coming into the season?
I don't really pay any attention or expect it. Just I'm happy we're in the ball games. I'll take what I can get.
What do you think it is that's allowing you to make such a big impact?
Coach Key's been a big help as always. And Sean Binks, our GA here, awesome dude. Really became close with that guy. He's going to be a really, really good coach one day. And like we stay out here every night and catch balls. Teaches me a lot. He played the game, so had his knowledge from a guy that played the game. We've really developed a really good relationship, and he's really helped me a lot along the way here. Mentality-wise, we share a lot of the same traits and mental characteristics. So we butt heads sometimes, but it's always a good thing. He brings the best out of me, and I think I bring the best out of him. So wherever he goes, he's ready to be a really good coach somewhere, and he is right now for us.
Kate, some of that work, I think Keenan was talking about you wanting to spend more time on the route running. I don't know, fine-tuning concepts. Would you describe that more as fundamentals or like schematics? What were you trying to get down with that over the summer?
I just like to see. I like to be able to see things before it happens. Have an idea of what my plan is going to be before I start running the route. And this far, I've done a better job at it. I still think there's room for improvement. There always will be. So I still have to keep stepping in that aspect of it.
How would you describe your comfort level with that now compared to a year ago? How dramatic is it, I guess?
A lot more comfortable. A lot more comfortable.
Is it recognizing landmarks quicker? I mean, what is it recognizing the defense? You know how it's deploying. I mean, what's just coming much better for you?
Just see. I mean, leverage-wise, seeing how they're playing me, how to attack their leverage, make them stop their feet, and give me a little more space and a little more separation from the guy covering me.
Yeah, go back to what Austin asked you. Have you always been, for want of another term, and this sounds like you're going to be bragging me, have you always been tough? Also, you know, I mean, 11 catches. I mean, you know, the one play that stands out on that winning drive is when you knocked was that a safety or whatever, the linebacker down and then run the route and catch the ball on the outcut.
Yeah.
It was only like 3 or 4 yards, but
right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll probably just credit that again just to the way I was raised. I think that you are who you are, who you are basically what you've done. And that's kind of the way I was raised my whole entire life. So it just kind of comes second. I mean, don't get me wrong. They're not, I mean, you're going to find plays where I'm on the other end of that too. So, but I think the tough part about that is doing it again the next play and making sure you're still there at the end of the game.
Are you an aspirin, Lee, Motrin, Advil guy?
I'm an ibuprofen guy. Yeah. Yeah. It's nice. Always nice. That was good. Nice. That was so fast.
Yeah,
oh.
When you look at Merrill's defense, what jumps out at you about Merrill's defense? I know you've seen video on that.
Right. Yeah. Athletic. Long, athletic. Play fast. We're excited for the challenge.
They like to cause turnovers.
Right.
I guess every defense does.
Yeah.
That was kind of like Western Kentucky's.
Right.
Coming in, you know, pretty much limited.
Right.
That situation. So
right.
What's the key when a team, you know, a team's coming in?
Right. Make sure we're taking care of the ball and make sure we're doing, just doing your job, doing your 111th.
One other thing. Is there anything different about Cal McCord this week compared to 2 weeks ago?
It's just every
that kind of drive.
every week you just see that kid grow up, get better and better and better. I think every week you're going to see a more polished, more just more experienced product, and that's what you're going to keep seeing, I think. Yep.
Now, Russ.
All right. Good deal. Thanks, guys. I like that quick. Shit. I like it quick.
Damn it. I wasn't able to ask him how many Snickers he has in the combine when he's
But I mean, I was stunned by their recruitment. Yeah. 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 You kicked out of the table.
That's just fair.
Try the bill there, buddy.
I don't think he
How's that ankle,
It's good enough. Good enough.
Are you percentage on that? Or?
No, no percentage.
You went right back in, I mean, pretty much right back into the game, though, and had a hell of a catch on the winning drive. I mean, are you going on adrenaline there? Or
Yeah, definitely adrenaline. I would say the next day, couldn't really move too much, but definitely a lot of adrenaline. I think just the moment of the game allowed me to finish, so definitely a lot of adrenaline though.
Did you know it was an ankle right away, like when that happened?
Yes.
Because you dealt with that last season, did you kind of fear the worst at first? Like,
Yeah, I definitely didn't know how severe the injury was. I knew it was kind of all right, the same ankle all over again, just like last year. So I kind of knew all right, if I want to finish this game, I know how to play on it because I had to play on it last year. So, but yeah, it's kind of just the same thing.
how proud were you of the block that you made that happened at the same time?
Yeah, very proud, very proud. I think the coaches kind of challenged, us as receivers to be able to make those big blocks on the outside to spring long touchdown runs. Trey got through there, made some people miss and broke the tackle. So I was just, proud of myself for kind of making that block and having a presence not only in the pass game, but in the run game as well.
you kind of got caught swinging door, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Did you watch that when you're on the field? I know you had your head down. Did you watch the replay of that?
No, I don't know what happened. I was just in a lot of pain at the moment, just grabbing my ankle.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't want to belabor it, but you were talking about the severity and waiting to find out. Do you think that it's worse than the one last year? Are you better? Is this better than the one that you had last year? How does it compare?
Yeah, I would say it's worse than the one last, but still, I'm good enough to play.
Do you feel like immediately like I'm going to get back into the game, or was that something that you kind of had to have a discussion with the trainers before you got?
Yeah, it was something I had to discuss with the trainers. Obviously, I went back in there, got the ankle retaped, put the spat over the cleat, taped it again, and then I just kind of go out there and couldn't really bend the ankle too much or how much it was taped so much, and then go out there, do some sprints, and just show them that, okay, I can still move good enough to go out there and play.
You got your helmet back.
Yeah, I got my helmet back this time.
Well, not to change the subject a little bit. You've been through what it's like with Tom winning a job and then starting to put his imprint and what that's like. And going through it now this time, but then as a college football player, are there any differences or similarities between when you guys went through it in high school, watching him grow into a leadership role versus later?
No, I think one thing's really cool about college, the same guy all the time, no matter where he's at. Depth chart wise, fighting for a spot, being a starter. He's the same guy every time. I think that's the kind of person he is. He has the confidence in himself that he can go out there and perform at a high level. But he's the same guy every time. Real calm, cool, and collected. I think going into that last game-winning drive, no one had probably more confidence in themselves than him. So that's just the kind of guy he is.
What's his leadership style from your experience?
I mean, he's really funny and he's such a jokester off the field. I think he can be friends with anybody. It's just the kind of personality he has. But then when it's time to be serious, he definitely can be serious and rally the guys around him, and we kind of feed off his energy.
Did anything change in, I guess, his demeanor after they said officially he was a starting quarterback this time around?
Not like I said, he's the same guy all the time.
Mark, everybody describes Kyle as calm, but after that touchdown, he was anything but. Knowing
Yeah.
him for so long, seeing him get that moment, what was that like?
I mean, that was special. Just had to wait 2 years, and you kind of all of your whole life basically. You're not sitting behind anybody. You're going out there. You're a starter quarterback. So, and then like I said, get here, wait 2 years, and kind of wait your turn, and then for him to perform like he did on that last drive on that big of a stage. I'm super proud of him because like I said, I know all that he's been through from high school and to that moment. So I was just really super proud of him.
Maryland's secondary played very well. What are your impressions of them?
I mean, yeah, they're good. I think last year it's not the same guys, but last year they probably had the best secondary we faced, all year last year. So I mean, I'm sure they're well coached, obviously over there. Have a lot of talent, a lot of depth. And that's gonna be a challenge for us.
Does that include Georgia? I mean, when you say the best secondary y'all faced last year, does that include Georgia's?
I mean, I would say the corner, Deontay Banks. I think he's the first round. I went to New York last year. He's definitely my toughest challenge last year.
Marvin, it's just a realistic discussion with a guy like you who has a bright NFL future ahead of him. Whenever you have something like that happen on the field with your injury, is there anything in the moment that's in your head? Is there anything as you're dealing with the injury of, yes, I want to win right now with Ohio State, but I also have a future to think about?
No, that ain't crossed my mind at one time. I'm just trying to win the game. It was a close game at the time. I think we went up 10-3, 10-7. I don't know the exact score, but that never crossed my mind at all. So go out there, help my team win. That's all I was thinking about.
Yeah, you laid out the one pass you got on the winning drive. I mean, the one pass you got
Yeah.
on the winning drive.
Yeah.
Literally, the ankle was not on your mind at that point?
No, I mean, I'm just trying to go out there and win the game. Do my part, do the best I can. Trust myself in the moment. But I was just trying to win the game.
You talk about Kyle and everything, but what does it do for Kyle, do you think, to lead that kind of drive? And what does it do for him among you guys? I mean, you can all talk about what you believe in about a guy, but until he goes out and really does it under pressure, right? I mean,
Builds confidence.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're, I think, alluding to. Just the confidence that you build in that moment. Going out there knowing that you can do it. Like you say, you kind of believe in yourself. Practice, you do it, and you vision yourself before the game. Like, okay, I can do this. But then when you actually go out there and do it, that's where you build the confidence.
What are those coverage that they were playing? Sorry.
Yeah.
Is that instructive for you at all coming out of a game like that? Like, do you think are there things that you can do better to try to overcome that when teams try to scheme you out like that?
I think it's just part of football. I think. Like I said, I just try to do my part, and whether I get a bracket coverage or double coverage, safety help my way, makes the field wider for my teammates, and I think they can succeed more. So that's the role I got to play in the offense, and I'm willing to do that.
Is that the most consistent a team has done that to you over the last 2 years? How often Notre Dame was doing it?
I mean, definitely got it here and there. I mean, they did it pretty consistently, especially with the safety. Everybody, different teams do it their own little way, how they want to, play me, especially in that 3x1 sets that we're kind of known for, me backside. Everybody plays it differently. So that's probably the way they played it was very consistent, though.
You mentioned Kyle's confidence growing from that. What does that do for the team's confidence in Kyle?
I think we always had confidence in him. I think you guys are kind of all on board now to, have trust in him and the confidence in him. But I think we always had the confidence in him before that, play even happened or that drive even happened to go out there and execute.
Mark, what have you seen from Chip to enable him to play the role he's playing for his team?
Yeah, I mean, Chip, that's kind of do-it-all guy. I think, he's worked very hard to be able to excel in the pass game and run game. I think he came here playing linebacker, can move over to running back now, and just he's a team-first kind of guy. He's going to do whatever we need him to do as a team to help us win. So, I respect Chip a lot. I think he's one of the most respected players on our program. So, for him to get that touchdown, I'm super proud of him. Just like I say, he came here as a linebacker and to move the running back. He just did whatever he needed to do to help the team win.
Mark, what is it like to be on the field and you see the play call? It's coming down to that play. You understand what I'm saying? The
Mhm.
3 seconds left, and they're not throwing it to you. They're going to run it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is it like to be out there with basically y'all's fate
Mhm.
in the balance? I mean, and knowing on that play, you're probably not going to have much to do with. You understand what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
Yet it's the team thing. What is that feeling like out on the field like that?
I was just rooting on for the linemen. I know all the work they put in throughout the week and how much emphasis we put on throughout the whole offseason, just getting that 1 inch, that 1 yard. I think we look back at that Georgia game, it's like, we're a couple inches, yards away from it being a whole different outcome. So to have that emphasis all offseason and then to be in that moment where all we need is 1 yard to win a game. I was just super proud of them for all that the way they executed. And like I said, just knowing the emphasis that we put on that moment throughout the year. That was very special.
What's a week like for you now when you're balancing practice, preparation for game, and treatment for ankle and that sort of thing? How's we dealing with all that?
What exactly are you trying to ask? Sorry.
How do you kind of balance, making sure you get treatment for ankle, making sure you're doing all the other stuff to prepare a game, and going through last? Does that help you?
Yeah. I mean, I think definitely a lot. You want to prepare, but you want to be smart throughout the week, so you can go into Saturday as healthy as you possibly can be. So whether that's maybe not taking a rep here or a deep ball, where okay, you might not get it. So just trying to be smart throughout the whole week, and so you can be healthy for Saturdays.
Talk about bringing back tearaway jerseys.
Tearaway jerseys.
Yeah. And you getting grabbed and stuff.
I mean,
It is what it is.
yeah, it is what it is, I guess. I mean, I would say they did it very strategically. The way Notre Dame tried to grab you, and they kind of we really watched the film. They grabbed you a lot. They did it strategically though. They didn't really get called too much. So kudos to them.
Marvin, thank you
Of course, very much.
And we have Chip Trainum on the north 20, folks. And Chip will be it. Yep, Chip's the last one.
No, Josh.
No Josh. No Josh.
Who else over here? Taylor. Fryer.
All right, guys, you're stuck with me for a minute. It's Kevin. We are waiting for the interviews to end. We just finished up at the middle table with Marvin Harrison Jr. Chip Trainum is speaking at table 1. Tom and Tony are over there listening. I am set up over here. What are your thoughts about the upcoming Maryland game? I will have Tale of the Tape coming out tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. I believe it is already done. Working on our Behind Enemy Line series. That will come out on Friday, as well as game predictions and everything else. So looking forward to all of that. I'm going to sit down here with the computer. How do you know it's really me? I waved at the camera earlier as I was breaking down gear. So if it's not me, it's a really bad doppelganger of me. I'm not going to walk on camera right now because I'm wearing a blue shirt and I don't want to hear about that. So, hi, Corey. Let me see what else. Hey, Condees13, how are you doing? No, it is not an imposter. I will be going live on Friday at 1 p.m. I already have the show in the system. We will have a special guest on the Big Me Kickoff to talk a little recruiting coverage as well. But as you know, this show is your show and you guys get to pick on our live content. And, you guys will be able to do all of that. As I'm going through here, Condees13 is saying 58-24. I saw some scores in there earlier as we were getting set up initially. My question about 58 is, how do you get enough possessions to score 58? I understand if you get 8 possessions and you score 7 points, you're going to get to 56. But this offense has not shown that it is able to score on every drive. So one of the ways you do get to that point is by getting your opponent off the field. And by getting your opponent off the field quicker, that should be able to get you more drives. And if you get more drives, that's more opportunity to score. But we've not seen that as of yet. So I'm not necessarily buying all of these big point productions and everything else, as Tony Gerdeman is walking over here, smiling and thinking that I'm insane talking to myself. But I'm actually talking to our viewers at this point. I will hand him a hot mic at this point. And he's just looking at me like I just handed him like a bag of doorknobs or something like that. So speaking of a bag of doorknobs, I don't know where Tom is. He should be here in a second. But we will be following up with which flavor of show is this? Is it tomorrow morning or
tomorrow morning?
A Buckeyes tomorrow morning. So thank you for everybody who's sticking with us here at this point. Tom is on his way. He is hauling gear over and hauling ass because he is the best athlete of the bunch of us. But that's by default. But he's a hell of a coach. He's probably going to kick my ass later, but, I digress. And all this I'm saying is on our interviews, so nobody has to worry about Buckeyes tomorrow morning.
This is a Buckeye Weekly.
What? No, it's tomorrow morning.
It's already done.
All right, well, then we'll name it a Buckeye Weekly.
Pre-production meeting right now. I thought this was a tomorrow morning. This is a Buckeye Weekly.
Don't forget the power pause.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly podcast. I am Tony Gerdeman, here as always with Tom or Tom. How's it going?
Oh, Tony, everyone at home who's just listening and not watching live is wondering, why does Tony sound so angry about the fact that this is a Buckeye Weekly podcast? And the answer is, you found out about 13 seconds before we started that this was a Buckeye Weekly podcast and not a morning show. So you have to run the show and not me tonight. So
no sidecar.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. So I won't even attempt to name all of the players that we talked to tonight. I don't know what the final number turned out to be.
Got them all.
Got them all. So I had 3 over at table 3.
So we didn't get Josh Simmons?
So 10. So still a record output for a non-media day event here at Ohio State. But a lot of good stuff. It's the first time we've got to talk to a lot of these players since the Notre Dame game. We talked to some last week, talked to Chip Trainum today for the first time since the Notre Dame game. That dude is cool, calm, like matter of fact, very excited about scoring the winning touchdown against Notre Dame. But then he said, talking to Tony Alford on the Monday after the game, saying, "That's great and all, but I didn't come here to just have one moment at Ohio State."
Yeah, when we talk about setting the bar high, he came to Ohio State to play linebacker, and now here he is playing running back, which is what he kind of, I think, originally wanted to do at Ohio State coming out of high school. Wasn't offered that opportunity coming out of high school to play running back at Ohio State, so went to Arizona State, then came back to Ohio State to play linebacker, and then ends up at running back. He does the reverse steel chambers, and he ends up scoring this like iconic touchdown in Ohio State history. And we'll see where this season ends. And people remember the Bobby Olive touchdown against Iowa, even though that was in a 3-4 loss season. Not as many people remember that as remember the Holy Buckeye play, for example. But this is going to be a play that people are talking about 35 years from now, and that's pretty. I think the challenge for him is, okay, you have done this. Now you have to put all that aside because now you got to play another game this week.
Yeah, it's like winning the MVP and Rookie of the Year in the same year. And now it's like now do something better than that.
Let's see you win the Rookie of the Year award again.
Exactly, and you're not going to. But with him having that role that he has now as the not necessarily the short yardage back, but just the number 2 back at this point, and the way he is, his leadership aspect as well. I thought it was. I don't know if you saw this part. You might have been typing, but so earlier Marvin Harrison said like Chip is one of the best leaders on the team, and so somebody asked Chip about that, and he got he smiled like,
"Really?
Marvin said that about me?" And so that was pretty cool too.
Yeah, and he was someone. Wasn't he someone who we were told like if they had a fourth captain, like he might have been in line to be that fourth captain, which to be a transfer guy and I guess you have the advantage of knowing people from both sides of the ball pretty well from various meeting rooms, but
he crosses both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, exactly. Way to Chip Trainum, a politician for our times. He to come in and just immediately be that impressive, and that he talked about the fact you have to come in and you are among everyone here was an alpha dog in high school. So in order to be, you either rise or you fall. You either become, you rise to become the alpha dog among the alpha dogs, or you fall and you sort of, he didn't say sink into quicksand, but I think that's kind of the general, you're no one is staying static. You're either improving or you're not. And he has, taken that challenge, embraced that challenge, and certainly had a bigger role on the field this year than I was expecting 3 months ago. And, that's a testament to all the work he has put in to this point.
Yeah, for sure. This is also the first time we got to talk to anybody and all of these guys about Notre Dame only having 10 men on the field for the last 2 plays. He didn't notice that necessarily because he was focused on just getting straight ahead.
He said just something looked weird. Something looked weird, but he didn't know until he was in the locker room and on his phone, and it was kind of like, oh.
Yeah, so we talked to Josh Fryer about that, and he's like, obviously that was not my side of the field, so I didn't know it. And he didn't really truly believe it until he saw it on the plane, because in the locker room, his teammates, Josh Simmons and Donovan Jackson, told everybody they only had 10 guys on the line. I guess he didn't believe them.
I did believe them. I had the same reaction to Chip Trainum because if you look at the picture for the Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning episode that's already up on the because we already recorded that, Tony. Sorry, I already recorded that. You weren't there.
Deep fake.
You were there in spirit. But the picture on the YouTube channel for the Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning episode that just went up a couple hours ago is that angle of that play. And you look, and I was looking at it and I'm like, it just looks weird. It's like they're in a weird alignment or something, because you can see the gap, you can see the guard clearly, you can see the tackle clearly, and you can see the gap between the guard and the tackle clearly. And it's like, it just doesn't look right. It didn't occur to me well, of course, Notre Dame has put 10 men out of the field. That did not occur to me, and it didn't occur to Chip Trainum. But yeah, that was, the first time I heard, they only had 10 guys in the field, I thought, that can't be right.
No, and the difficulty for Josh Simmons, and unfortunately we didn't get to talk to him because this would have been interesting to talk about, is what do you do when the man that you're supposed to block is not there? And it would be like taking a written test and the question for number 5 just says number 5. It's like, well, what's the question? How am I supposed to answer this? And fortunately for them, they got everything correct on that one. but talking to Josh Fryer and saying, he didn't really believe his teammates, and I was like, so you don't think they can count? Like, you don't? He's like, no, I think Notre Dame's an outstanding institution. Of course they can count. I'm like, no, your teammates. You didn't think they could count to 11. Oh, no. Donnie and Josh, they can count. So I just want to reassure everybody that Ohio State's offensive linemen can count. It's just sometimes the right tackle doesn't believe them when they do.
I mean, that was one of those difficult to believe things. Like in that moment, coming off of a timeout, 2 plays in a row, you have 10 on the field. I mean, we don't need to belabor this for Notre Dame fans. But
no, I will tweet out some video of Josh Fryer that he said something that made everybody laugh, and it was about the 10 men. So.
Yeah, okay.
I don't remember what it was. I just remember everybody laughed.
Another dynamite drop-in.
It's called a tease, Tom.
Chip Trainum talked about the fact that, he watched that play a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Watched the team running on the field more because he's down on the field and he's looking down the line of scrimmage to find the official to see if he's been called in or not. So, he's gone back and watched the team running on the field and celebrating that moment. Said it happened so fast but so slow. He felt like he was falling slowly, and like as he's falling, he's telling himself to keep his knees up because it looks, there's a way he falls knees first and he's down before the ball gets to the goal line.
The ab control to keep your knees off the ground like that.
And then he said, the key on a play like that, when you've got the guys coming unblocked off the backside. He said the key is you got to stay tight to the line, get a good mesh point, don't get too wide. If you stay tight to the line, the defender can only get one arm on you, and if you're going full speed, one arm isn't going to stop you. So it didn't.
No, and then they only needed to get. We're right on the line right here. This is all they needed to get. Who else did you have over at that table?
I had Steel Chambers.
Okay.
May I tell you, Steel Chambers was hustled out of there, and I was none too pleased. He said that he had questions for us, and then we didn't get to find out what the questions were. So I feel a little bit cheated. He talked about the fact that I think the Steel Chambers line of the night was, how well equipped are you to sort of adapt to what's happening? And he said, we're well equipped. Got Jim Knowles up there in the Owl's Nest cooking things up. It's like, that is a very Steel Chambers way to say that. He said about the Notre Dame game, the linebackers were not great in that game. He and Tommy Eichenberg, they didn't grade out by whatever PFF metric you want to use, but he said, we played pretty bad, have to take responsibility, we have to, their eyes were everywhere. They have to be more focused, know where their keys are. They've got to be able to make adjustments on the field. And he didn't feel like they did a great job of that against Notre Dame.
And Jim Knowles said the same thing. The tight end motion ended up creating extra gaps and causing the linebackers. If you've got 3 gaps and only 2 linebackers, there are going to be some issues there. So Jim Knowles said he needs to adjust better to that. And obviously, so I talked to Josh Fryer. Yeah, the short yardage stuff, we talked about it, and he's like, it's mainly just technique and things like that, stuff that is fixable. Like they always tell us, everything is fixable. So it's better than saying, well, we can't do anything about it because we're just not good enough. And so, it's going to get better because it can't stay this bad. So that's one thing. Also talked with Denzel Burke. This will be the best group of receivers in passing game that they see. He's looking forward to that. As he said, it'll present some more opportunities for him because last week 2 weeks ago against Notre Dame, he got pretty bored and had maybe like 1 target early in the first quarter and then maybe 1 later on in the game, and really looking forward to just being busier on the day. And also talk about the difficulty in handling Talia Tagovailoa's ability to extend the play, so you just got to stick with your man. And as long as you're covering your guy, it doesn't matter how long he's running around back there.
Jordan Hancock said almost the same thing verbatim. And talked about, Maryland's going to test them vertically with the play action pass. Tagovailoa extending plays with his legs. And I think he said, if you cover for 4 seconds, if you cover for 10 seconds. If they're covering for 10 seconds, that's a problem. But, if they have to, they've got to cover for however long they've got to cover. He talked about the fact that Western Kentucky ran a lot of RPO, but Maryland is going to be the team that runs the most RPO of anyone they've seen so far this year. I thought it was interesting. A couple people were asked about Davis Igbinosun's physical play. Yeah. He was one of those guys, and talked about how Davis Igbinosun, just little skinny dude, going out and laying the wood on much bigger guys. He said, he said everyone else feels the pressure. He goes, no, not pressure, but, feels motivated it feels like there's a lot of momentum to go out and make that kind of play themselves. The bigger guys, like, okay, if the little dude's going out there and hitting the big guys got no excuse. Last thing I thought was interesting for Jordan Hancock, he said he feels like he's very versatile right now. Everyone knows every position. There's a lot more checks on the defense this year, but he said, he can play inside corner. He's comfortable playing, the nickel spot that he's in for the most part right now, but he's comfortable playing outside corner. He's comfortable playing that deep field safety position as well. So, that's a level of versatility that, if you have an injury, that's going to be big. But it also just, you don't have to play deep field safety for the whole game. You might be you might be disguising a coverage by dropping, and then, Josh Proctor's coming down and crashing. So that just gives them a lot more kind of opportunities and options in the back end.
Well, and Jim Knowles said they need to change the picture for Talia Tagovailoa. What you show pre-snap is not what you show post-snap, and things like that. And the versatility that you have allows you to do different things. Denzel Burke was also asked about Davis Igbinosun's physicality, and he said he's never played with a corner as physical as Igbinosun. And he said, like, this is a guy that he's the only quarterback he knows that actively seeks out the run pile. Like, he will just run to it. They remind me, like, you see those videos of like the dog that runs to the pile of leaves and jumps into it. That's basically, he's like just like jumping into a pile of leaves looking to hit somebody.
If you've jumped into a pile of leaves and you've jumped into a pile of bodies on the football field, I don't think those feel exactly the same.
I will tell you one time, I jumped into a pile of leaves, and I had forgotten earlier in the day I had put an apple bushel in that pile because I was trying to trick somebody to jumping on that pile of leaves. That was like 3 weeks ago. It's an embarrassing moment, but
Mayberry?
This is
no, but close.
This is one of these times when I'm not sure if I would trust you to count to 10. But, we don't need to belabor that. Josh Proctor, speaking of the deep field safety, Josh Proctor talked about the fact that they're just right now, one of the keys for the defense is they're watching more film, which is allowing them to anticipate rather than react. And that's, when you're making these bang bang plays, and you see the ball skims 2 inches over a safety's hands or a corner's hands or whatever, you just miss a tackle or you just make that shoestring tackle. That matter of inches is a matter of a quarter of a second or something like that. So if you're able to anticipate and not just be reacting to what's happening, but getting there, it's the Wayne Gretzky thing where, why was Wayne Gretzky the best player? He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the strongest. It was because he knew he was going to go where the puck was going to go next. Well, if you can anticipate where's the ball going to go next, or where's this guy going to go next, you can beat him to that spot, and that's how you make plays.
And that's the comparison that Jim Knowles has used for Tommy Eichenberg last year. He would go where the ball was going, and that's why he was so much better than everybody else on the defense. But now you're closer to more 11 Tommy Eichenbergs, which is what he's been shooting for. Talked with Tyleik Williams. He was asked about his dropped interception. I said, hey, have you thought about getting on the Monarch machine? He's like, I need to. Now, I do think if he were to do it, he would have to do it with his hands taped up like they are in a game.
Yeah.
It's got to be like game-like situation. Just whatever you do, probably don't have it near your face. Like, have it, down here.
Maybe have your helmet on while you're using it.
Well, a game-like situation for sure. But Jim Knowles talked yesterday about how he's playing a bunch, but he's still behind in terms of reps because he didn't have practice. And I asked Tyleik if it's impacted him. He's like, no. I was like, is it nice not having as many reps? Maybe. I don't know. Like in terms of practice, it's always nice not having as much practice. Ask Orlando Pace in the NFL when he would always hold out for the entire preseason or whatever. But he's a guy that has really stepped up his game, playing more than ever, playing more than anybody else on the inside, and continues to produce.
Yeah, and Mike Hall talked about him and just the fact that, he really set that tone with that tackle for loss right off the bat at Notre Dame. And that was sort of, I think whenever I hear people talk about something like that, I think back to, like the 2002 season and, Matt Wilhelm going in and tackling Willis McGahee for a big loss right on that first drive, and like getting up and doing the diamond cutter and like really doing the like set the tone thing. Same thing with the first play of the 2002 season. Was it Bobby Carpenter and AJ Hawk flying down on kick coverage and making the tackle, and it was just kind of like, they got 12-yard line or something on the kick return. It was just kind of like, oh, it's going to be that kind of day. Okay.
How about this one, Tom? 1997, Andy Katzenmoyer or Tavian Banks tackled him like 2 or 3 of the first couple times he had the ball, and he was coming in averaging 200 yards rushing per game. And Katzenmoyer shut him down.
That's not even the most famous time he did that to a quarterback in
Well,
1997.
Banks, Tavian Banks, the running back.
Oh, Tavian Banks, the running back. Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking of Brad Banks.
Yes.
Sorry, I was thinking of
Demolition
Brad
Man.
Banks,
Yeah.
not Tavian Banks. Yeah, the Corby Jones hit, of course, at Missouri, the other one that I was thinking about. But yeah, that's it feels like that's one of those narratives that kind of gets made retroactively, where you come in and you have a big hit at the beginning, and then no one remembers if it doesn't portend a big day defensively.
When did Zach Dumas's hit happen against Auburn? That was in the first or second quarter?
It was in the first half,
Yeah.
in the Hall of Fame Bowl in 1989.
What happened after that?
I don't know. It was a John Cooper team in a bowl game against the SEC, so I assume it went well.
Sure, it was fine.
Yeah. Do we have questions we want to run through?
Condi's 13. Igbenogson is so good, underrated, in my opinion.
I wonder if saying Davison Igbenogson is so good and underrated, I wonder how people would feel about him if this secondary is giving up big plays, because he does get penalized.
Yeah.
And so if he's one of these guys who is also, but if he's one of the guys giving up big plays, then obviously you're not going to be super happy with him.
Right.
But even if it's other people, I think he might get lumped into that. So I agree. And they don't want him to change anything he's doing, because sure, there might be a 15-yard penalty here and something there, but everything else he's doing, Tom, I think what you do is you bake in 2 or 3 pass interferences and 1 or 2 targetings.
Well, this is one of these times when I'm sure when this happens, when it's your team on offense, it's absolutely maddening. But they can't call them all defense is, I mean, it works, and they cannot, in fact, call them all. I think he's someone who you knew what you were bringing in. This is not the first time he has played like this at the college level. And this is something Ohio State really hasn't had at the corner position that much in recent years. I mean, Josh Proctor talked about the fact that they've got, Jeff Okuda and Damon Arnett in 2019. Those guys were corners that were like lockdown, take no crap kind of corners. And they've got this. And he said it's really kind of the first time they've had that since 2019. Kind of. Yeah, well, with Jordan Fuller for this year's team, and I'm like, I don't know if that's something I would want to put on myself. But I mean, that it is a playing corner is a little bit of an attitude position where, you have to have the technique. It's not just, you can't just be swagger. Otherwise, Miami would be a far more successful football team this century. But having that attitude and having that, this guy's not going to beat me, and then, actually following through and having the technique to not let that guy beat you. That's something that is, I think that's pervasive across the defense as well, not just that one guy.
Yeah, and if you lose one time, you just say it didn't happen and you move on. Kevin?
Yeah, sorry, I was working on an offer. A recruiting offer. John Alexander, is the defensive line and linebackers, are they pretty healthy for this game?
Defensive line and linebackers, are they pretty healthy for this game? Yeah, I think
we talked to both linebackers, and I saw CJ Hicks standing there we were talking to Steele Chambers, so he's fine.
You talked to Tommy Eichenberg?
I did not. Oh, you know what? I didn't talk to Tommy Eichenberg.
Yeah, I saw him running in no shoes on, so seemed fine. He was all dressed and all taped up, and so he's fine. Defensive line, I don't know that anybody is banged up in any way.
I didn't notice. We a lot of times we'll come in here on a Wednesday and we'll have a sense that, hey, make sure you're looking for fill in the blank, might be a little banged up, and then we are kind of taking a look at taped up. Is he no contact jersey? Is he not wearing pads? Whatever. There wasn't anyone that I came in this week with the hey, make sure you look at this guy. And I didn't notice. I wasn't looking for JT Tuimoloau, or I don't have any indication that there's a concern on the front seven.
We talked to Marvin, who's just coming out now to hit the Monarch machine with Reese Stocksdale. But he was the only guy that said, he did say it. And he said his sprained ankle this year is probably worse than last year's, but he knows how to play with it, and he's fine. And don't worry about it. Don't.
And he played all of last year with it basically. When did he sprain it? It was like the Arkansas State game, so second and third game last year. He played with that banged up all year last year, so this is really nothing new for him.
Yeah, he said as he sat down, he was asked immediately, and he was like, "How's that ankle?" And he said, "Good enough."
Yeah, good enough.
Good enough.
That's what I've. People ask me, how good is Marvin Harrison? I'm like, good enough.
What's it like working with Tony? Next question.
Jordan Kapler, What's
Right.
funny is I think Notre Dame fans will be talking about Chip's touchdown longer than Ohio State fans.
That's a great point. Jordan Kapler saying that Notre Dame fans may be talking about Chip Trainum's touchdown longer than Ohio State's fans. That's going to be a play that will live in infamy at Notre Dame, especially if they end up like missing. They go 11-1 and miss the playoffs. That's going to be one that is going to sting.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, that's going to sting regardless because they haven't beaten Ohio State in 85 years or whatever it is. And this was the year when the stars were aligned. They had them at home. Ohio State new quarterback, shaky offensive line. They've got a whole veteran defense. This was like the universe is aligning for Notre Dame to finally beat Ohio State. It's a lot like Ole Miss and Alabama. Like Ole Miss is not going to have a better shot at Alabama than they had this year, and then they just kind of no-showed it. Notre Dame probably even more frustrating because it was like, Ohio. It's got to be a little bit like the Ohio State Peach Bowl loss where you had it, it was right there, you lost it by one kick, and then you look at the national championship game and it's like, oh boy, that would not have been a challenge in that national championship game.
But those misses were your own misses.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I'm thinking, is this more like Desmond Howard's punt return against? Is it something like that?
Did Ohio State have 10 guys on the field for Desmond Howard's? I mean, I would argue that Notre Dame having 10 guys on the field made it Notre Dame's miss.
Well, yeah, but in terms of like just that pain of somebody else doing that to you, or obviously the Charles Woodson. I mean, those are the two that I keep thinking back for Ohio State in terms of the one play that beat you, even though those necessarily weren't.
If I was going to say if Charles the Desmond Howard return, they would. Yeah.
In terms of the revisionist history that we talked about earlier, like they grow roots and legs and become something different than they were at the time. But that's going to be, I'm with you. It's going to last at both places for a very long time, but they're going to look very different to whomever you ask.
Yeah. Well, yeah, at Ohio State, it's a heroic play. And at Notre Dame, we can't count to 11.
Although I think it was Josh Farr, maybe it was Chip Trainum said, yeah, we would have gotten it regardless. So
Chip said that.
So just rest assured. There's your answer.
Drowsy Dragon, has Ryan Day neutered Knowles, or is Knowles no longer willing to be as aggressive on his own?
Yeah.
I think Jim, I think Jim Knowles is doing exactly what Jim Knowles needs to do, and I don't think he's been neutered. He's not. He's.
I think it's. Go ahead, Tom.
No, he's not. He's not doing exactly what he's always done, but he hasn't. I don't think ever run exactly the same defense. I think he's adjusted to the realities of his current situation, and his current situation is you have corners that are, you don't need to cover for your corners. Your corners can cover for themselves. You don't need to take crazy chances because your front four is getting pressure. Even if they're not getting sacks, they're getting pressure. Mike Hall talked about the difference between, he said stats don't show it, but you turn on the tape and you see how you're impacting things. And they are impacting things in the passing game. They are really, really making a significant negative impact on the opposing quarterback. His ability to see down the field, his ability to set his feet, his ability to step into throws, his ability to throw on platform, and all those things. And so you don't have to take risks. You can just play it safe. You don't have to, just because Jim Knowles is not going all in with like a pair of threes doesn't mean that he's been neutered. It means he's now playing smarter poker because he's got a bet, he's getting consistently better hands. So he doesn't have to push all in with, 7-2 off suit.
Yeah. I wrote about it on what is today? Wednesday morning about Jim Knowles and the less aggressive Jim Knowles by choice, because and I called it the relaxed fit Jim Knowles, which I think
elastic waistband Jim Knowles.
Just pajama pants Jim Knowles.
Hey. Shots waist up, right? Okay, good. Yeah, you can't tell.
But these are things as he examined what went wrong last year, and you find some things that went wrong, and you correct those. Now, by correcting those, you're also being less aggressive elsewhere. But as long as that elsewhere is still being stopped, then I think you're okay. And they're not giving up the big plays that they did last year. I think they're going to be tested in that regard this week. I asked Denzel Burke, hey, do you know how long the longest touchdown you guys have given up this year? He's like, I don't know, 30, like 2. He's like, oh, that's pretty good.
That is in fact pretty good. Yeah, I don't think right now, I don't think Ohio State fans should have any qualms about Jim Knowles. And, Tony, it's a long season.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Things can always fall apart. But right now, a month into the season, I think you've got to grade the defense as, at least an A.
Yeah.
If you want to not give them an A+ because they've given up some long extended drives, that's fine. But I don't think you can really honestly grade them as less than an A.
Yeah, and I think if things go well and things go poorly, then they're going to start blitzing more, and then you'll get what you want. But
and he has more blitzes. We were
That's right.
told earlier in the week, don't worry, he has more blitzes saved up for later in the season.
Plus the Owl's Nest. Kevin, do you have something?
Who?
Follow up from John Alexander. This may sound like a silly question, but does Jim Knowles have carte blanche regarding the defense?
Does Jim Knowles have carte blanche regarding the defense? You have to be. Here's the thing that assistant coaches always say: you're part of a staff. You have to be unselfish, and you have to have no ego.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a coordinator should be able to have all of those things. Like you should have some ego. But I think it's been impressive the way Jim Knowles has backed off of his ego and not gone all out in terms of the aggression. But no, I don't think he. I mean, I don't think he has carte blanche.
Well, how are we defining this? I don't think Ryan Day's on the headset saying, no, don't run that coverage. I don't think it's getting micromanaged like that, but I think there were, and Day talked about this. You can hear this exact quote on today's Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning podcast. Day talked about this earlier in the week, where he talked about the fact that they looked at this. They sat down and had conversations earlier in the year, and I think it was sort of a high level conversation about, hey, here's what worked, here's what didn't. What do we need to change to make that better? So this was not Jim Knowles being able to, if he wants to run a 11, it's a safety driven defense and we're going to have 11 safeties on the field. He doesn't, I don't think he has carte blanche to do that. But I think once you got through the, the initial setup and sort of overall umbrella of the season, I don't think Ryan Day's in there necessarily grinding defensive tape and going, got to do this differently next week.
No, I think he has carte blanche within the snow globe, but not on the end table as a whole.
Correct. It's like Stephen King's The Dome, but a defense.
And better.
Got 3 more quickies, unless we get a super chat thrown in there. First one, Isaiah Brockman, Notre Dame versus Michigan, neutral field. Who y'all got?
Michigan.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just repeating the question. Notre Dame versus Michigan, neutral field. Does Notre Dame score more against Michigan than they do against Ohio State? Was that 17-14?
Yeah,
I think they're going to struggle to get to 14, but a broken play here or there.
Yeah, I'm more right now. I think Michigan gets into the 20s, and I think there's plenty of worlds where Ohio State gets into the 20s. So this is not Michigan is clearly a better defense or offense than Ohio State. But I don't know that Notre Dame. I struggle with this just in that I think Michigan's offense. I learned more about Michigan's offense last week against Nebraska because Nebraska has a pretty decent defense. I don't think we know anything about Michigan's defense because everyone they have been played has just been a steaming pile of garbage on offense. And I think the Notre Dame Michigan game might end up with both teams having higher scores than the Ohio State Notre Dame game did. I would take Michigan there. I don't think Michigan beats them 38-17 or anything like that, but 28-21 or something.
Or what about instead of a neutral site game at night at Notre Dame?
There's that. Yeah, I mean that's a
that's a dangerous place to play.
That's
a situation that you just have to be careful with.
That is a very difficult environment.
Not a question, but a follow-up to that. Tom's blue shirt is showing with that quick yelled response from Glasgow Butterfly.
Wait till I tell you what color shirt Kevin's wearing behind the camera.
UCLA blue.
Yeah, it's
UCLA blue.
Just say
like,
it's Justin Fry blue from the sidelines.
It's Kingsford blue.
Yes.
Murphy Serafino, don't you think that the way Notre Dame came back and won against Duke heals some of those wounds for this season? Feel they can go on a run now?
So did Notre Dame's comeback win over Duke heal some of the wounds from the week before? I mean, probably some, and they absolutely, to his point, can go on a run, but that doesn't unring the bell. Ohio State won a bunch of games after Baker Mayfield planted a flag in Ohio Stadium, and guess what? People still talk about Baker Mayfield planting a flag in Ohio Stadium. This is not. If Ohio State had beaten Georgia last year, that everyone forgets the Michigan game before that. Beating Duke is it was a solid win, we'll see where Notre Dame ends up. If Notre Dame ends up 11-1 and gets in the college football playoff and maybe wins a game, that one probably gets largely forgotten. But that's still, just because of the series history between the two teams, I think that one's going to sting just a little bit extra. And because of the way it ended, I think it's going to sting a little bit extra.
It will be interesting to see they're going to need help at 11-1. They would need, maybe a typical year, they would be fine.
Yes.
But in a strange year, they would need help, and not having that conference championship. But you would have wins over USC. I don't know that a win over Clemson is anything major this year. Anything more than Duke? I mean, Duke.
Yeah,
beat Clemson,
a quality win on the road over Duke, which is a thing that you're normally talking about with like Andy Katz. But that's a thing this year, and we'll see how well Duke holds up with Riley. What's his name? Leonard with his. I was thinking
Skinner.
Riley Skinner, and I was like, nope, wrong school in wrong decade, wrong school in North Carolina.
Same state, yes.
Yes.
Kevin.
Mika Hanna, we need to spread the ball around more, especially when we have guys like Julian Fleming and Xavier Johnson to take some heat off of Marvin.
I would like to see Julian Fleming targeted more.
Mm-hmm.
I think you go back to, I would like to see Jamison Williams targeted more. And you get a lot of those vibes. And I think that there are things that he can do. It's the opposite of when Jim Tressel, we would say, people would say, why don't you throw to the tight end? And it's like, well, if I'm throwing to the tight end, I'm not throwing to Santonio, I'm not throwing to Ted Ginn. It's like, why don't you throw it to Julian? Like, well, if I'm throwing it to Julian, I'm not throwing it to Cade Stover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and this is Marvin Harrison. They talked about this on Monday as well. That they're bracketing Marvin Harrison. Opponents are bracketing Marvin Harrison more frequently this year than in previous years, and that's one of the reasons why you've seen a huge year so far for Emeka Egbuka. I think there is going to be a time. There were times when in previous games where it felt like opponents were kind of almost doubling both of those guys, and that's when you've got to be looking for Julian Fleming, because he's there.
Mm-hmm.
He is open. He's not always open, but he's open a decent amount. I think Kyle McCord is also right now, as a young quarterback, trying not to make a mistake, he's being a little more cautious. He's going through his progressions, and it's like, first guy who's open, I'm going there. And that may be, Ross Fulton has talked about this on a couple of shows recently. He's maybe coming off of Marvin Harrison a little too early at times, where Marvin's running deeper routes. Mm-hmm. So sometimes the break is further downfield, so you got to stay with him a little longer. It feels like he's maybe and he has not made the big mistake. Came close against Notre Dame, but has not made the big mistake. And that's, with a young quarterback so far this season, that has been enough.
Well, and the other thing is, if you want to target Julian Fleming more, he has to be hurt earlier in the progression.
Yes.
Because if he's 3 or 4 in the progression, and you're dealing with Marvin Harrison and Emeka Egbuka as the first two, chances are one of those guys is getting open. Mm-hmm. So, or you're going to believe you can hit a window. So it was something that Kevin Wilson said a year or so ago, like being the tight ends coach and the offensive coordinator. We have the tight ends now that we could start to put them higher up in the process. And, if you want to get Julian Fleming the ball, then you kind of need to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Is that it? Okay. Tom, do you have anything else before we get out of here?
No, I think we're good shape. Make sure you're checking out Buckeyes tomorrow morning. Make sure you're checking out all of our podcasts. You can find them on wherever you're finding this podcast.
And this podcast is the Buckeye Weekly podcast.
Big if true.
Which was a surprise to me until I got here to do the show.
Everybody loves surprises.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I've done this before. This is my 7th podcast that I've ever been on. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. As always, thank you for jumping on live, staying with the stream the entire time. I know I apologize for Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. I am number 1. Anyway, that is going to do it. We want to thank you all for joining us as always, and we'll talk to you guys later.